Welcome to my last Activating Abundance episode for 2021. I committed I think it was early April, that I would do an Activating Abundance episode every Friday, every week, I should say. I've been pretty consistent with every Friday. I might have missed a couple and got it out on Saturday, but I've been consistent doing it weekly. And so we have a few weeks left. But today I want to talk about visions and creating the vision, your future vision that you would like to manifest. So, and I want to say too that if you notice, if you're on my YouTube channel and you notice, I have a new kind of backdrop. I got a table for Christmas and I got this hourglass. It's a huge hourglass, which I love because to me, it exemplifies that we only have so much time and that we need to get to work on doing the things we want to do and making our life the best it can be. But if you happen to notice that the sand is not flowing through the hourglass, I did not know. I got this at Kirkland's when we were out of town. We don't have a Kirkland's here anymore, but I was really excited to see that they still exist. So, and I had been looking on Amazon for a big hourglass for my backdrop in my home studio. And so when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, have to have it. I didn't really test the sand before I bought it. So I got it home when I put it up here. I was like, wait a minute, the sand isn't flowing through. What is wrong? It's got something wrong with it. I think the granules might be too big for the little narrow opening because when I turn it over, it starts to go through, but then it stops. So anyways, if you're like, there's something wrong with that hourglass, yeah, it's a special hourglass. It shows that time has stopped and we have a lot more time left than we think. That maybe is the meaning of it. So anyways, I am coming to you today COVID positive. So I hope you are appreciating me showing up for you. But I came down with COVID a couple of this is day 3. And it was honestly, I believe it's the Omicron. They don't give you like the result on what brand it is or what variant it is. I don't understand why they don't give you the brand or the variant because they have the statistics of how many people have Omicron. So why can't you tell me what I have? So, but just so you know, the symptoms have been just like having the flu for me. It's mostly head cold, nothing in the lungs. It's started out, my daughter came to visit after Christmas and she wasn't feeling well. She told me she wasn't feeling well, but I said, that's okay. It's fine. If I get it, I get it, because I was just like, if I get anything, I'd rather have it be Omicron. Right. So, and so it exhibited the same for her. And that now my husband also got it like a day after I did. And his was the same. I had a fever. My husband didn't have a fever. But headache, runny nose, it just achy. Like I felt like I was in a boxing ring, like I got beat up, but that's essentially what the flu feels like. And I think that after not being sick for over 2 years, so being so quarantined that, being sick sucks. So you're just not used to it. So anyways, I feel fine enough to get on here and do my podcast episode. And I feel fine enough to do work. Because I love what I do and it's hard to get me down. And I got some rest day 1. And in fact, I slept on morning of day 2 till 11:30 in the morning, which I never do. So, but I woke up feeling like a new person. So anyways, good to know. I just thought you'd like that little update on somebody who has had the Omicron variant. So let's get on to creating our future vision and talking about that. So what I'm doing today, one of the things that I'm working on today is creating my 2022 vision board. But I want to say I label it my 2022 vision board, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to manifest everything in 2022. I leave that up to the universe. It's the time that I'm declaring these desires. So the universe can deliver things faster than you even can imagine. And some things might take more time. Sometimes you need to learn lessons before your desires come true. So we can't control time in that aspect. And so you just leave it open-ended. And what you don't want is to restrict the delivery of your desires, because what can happen if you think that your manifestations won't come true for 18 months, for example? What if they could come true in 6 months? So it's not up to us to know the how, it's just up to us to know what we desire. And then the universe then directs us and leads us. But if we don't know what we desire, then the universe has no playbook to work from. The universe has no way of knowing how to help us. And the universe is a co-creator in this, in delivering the desires and you getting what you want. And so today I'm really excited because I think it's really fun to dream of possibilities, and release all doubt and release all. It's kind of like just playing like you have superpowers in a way. Like if I could do anything I wanted or have anything I wanted, what would that be? So it's a chance to play in that world. So, and I it's funny because I was working on an ad for, I'm doing a vision board training coming up. So if you are interested, go to emptynestvision.com and you can sign up. And if you're listening to this after it is available, you can get on a wait list because I'll be doing it a couple times in the future throughout the year. But anyways, so I was doing an ad for this upcoming workshop, and what I said, which is so true, is that Oprah, who I got so much advice, good advice from Oprah. She really opened my eyes to so many things, and so many great books, so much great wisdom. I also used to love those sessions with Dr. Phil. Another reason why I'm a coach, probably. But she always advocated vision boards, and she talked about her vision board and where she had it, where she could see it every day. And it was so funny because of all the advice that I took, that was one that I always poo-pooed it. I always like, vision boards. And I never really wanted to take the time. Isn't that sad? Taking time to write down the desires that, if you write them down and you see them and you dream them in your mind, and you have that compass with which to work from, that game plan with which to work from, isn't that worth the time if it actually works? So that is so crazy to me, that like how much I respected Oprah and all of her sage advice, but yet that one thing that actually worked, and she had examples of it working for her. But you always dismiss it because you think, oh, that's Oprah. She's special. She can make that happen, but not me. So, and I was also in this world of busy doing. And so to take time to create a vision board that I didn't think would maybe work, well, I didn't have the time. And that's sad too, because maybe I would have gotten closer to what I really wanted to do sooner in life. And so for that reason, I probably, not taking time, wasted time. And so I don't want you to waste more time. I want you to get clear on your vision, because you can dream big dreams and you can achieve big dreams. It doesn't matter how old you are, what your current circumstances are, or what you think is possible. If you have the thought in your head that you desire it, it means it is possible. the universe would not deliver you that idea, that thought, that intuitive hit if it wasn't possible. So embrace that and don't let your ego brain tell you that you can't have it because you don't have the money, you don't have the skill set, you don't have XYZ, which is what our human mind tends to just block things off before we even try. So yeah, Oprah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't listen to you, but I am listening to you now. And I did start doing visioning over 2.5 years ago, to be exact. And it's really changed my life. It's been so profound. So I'm a big advocate of it, and I want to share it with as many people as are interested and open to the idea of trying it. If you've done vision boards before and you want to do it in a group setting, I think group settings are very inspirational. I think group settings, because you can get ideas from other people. If you're kind of like, I don't know, I just, nothing's coming up for me. You can get ideas from other people. That it's kind of like a brainstorming session. And it might not be the same idea they have, but it will lead you to an idea. Even if it's not during the workshop, it could be after the workshop that it happens. So I have, let's see, I think it's 4 or 5 things about really getting your desires on paper, getting that vision not nailed, getting it down and starting off the year. So you've made that request to the universe, and the universe knows what you want and can start finding ways to guide you. But you also need to pay attention to these, like, the nudges that the universe sends you. So it's kind of a twofold process. You need to put your visions down, but then you need to start paying attention to what the universe is sending you. And sometimes that is, and I'll talk more about that in the workshop, but that was a big part of my problem, is I would get these intuitive hits and I'd be like, nah, oh, that's so crazy, I can't do that. But now I listen to them. So yes, number 1, you need to set aside time. Like I said, I didn't have the time before. I make the time now. So it's very important, as much time as it takes, to sit down and go through the process of brainstorming desires. So it's just getting quiet. You need to stop the noise, find a quiet place where nobody's around, maybe put on a little music, whatever floats your boat. And whether it's, meditative music, or whether it's, I like spa music. I say, Alexa, play spa music. And it's really nice. I like spa music in the background. So, but these like 5 prompts, I guess you'll call them. I started out by saying they're questions, but they're not all questions. They're just like things to prompt you, to provoke thought. So, number 1, reflect on previous manifestations. And it's interesting because you might not even know that you previously manifested something, but you have. We've all manifested things throughout our life. But when we look back, we might say, oh, I got lucky because of this. Or, we make up excuses because we think, oh, I don't know how to manifest. So how could I have manifested something? Well, it's because you thought and you desired it somewhere inside of you, and the universe delivered it to you. But I want you to take time to reflect on that, so you can have proof that this has actually happened to you. So some of the questions in terms of the reflecting prompt would be, go back in time. So, maybe it was how you met your partner, how your kids came about, how were they conceived? Maybe it's how you got accepted into your college or a school that you wanted to go to? How did you meet your best friend? How did you get the trip? Maybe you went on this trip, this amazing trip. How did that come to be? How about the house that you live in? Was that something that you dreamt about and now it's a reality? How about getting a pet? It's interesting how pets come into our lives. So it's quite possible that that's a previous manifestation you didn't realize came about because it was a desire, an internal desire. And we just did not go through the practice. We didn't know what it was called. We didn't know it was manifesting something. So like I think about the way I met my husband, and I've talked about it before, but he was my college sweetheart. And I always thought he was my soulmate, but it didn't work out for us. And so we broke up after a couple of years of dating. And it was crazy how he came back into my life when we reconnected. And he had a conversation about me with some clients, and because they asked why he had never been married, and he said, oh, I've never met anybody like the girl that I dated in college. That happened like 6 weeks before a mutual friend brought his name up at a reunion, a high school reunion that I went to. It's a guy he played rugby with. So, and this guy went to our same college. So, we knew each other through college, but it was my high school reunion. He had nothing to do with my high school. It was my high school reunion, this connection from our previous life. This guy who went to our college and knew us both brought his name up. And then I couldn't get him out of my head. And I had dreams over the years about him and reconnecting with him and being with him at some future date. And when I look back and think how crazy, and I said to myself, Lori, you're crazy. Stop it. It was like I was deliberately like denying that desire. I was deliberately suppressing that desire, but that desire was still there. It didn't stop. The internal, my soul wanted that. And my soul never stopped desiring it and never gave up. And maybe if I had, accepted that sooner, we would have gotten together sooner. But isn't that so crazy? And he must have been manifesting it internally as well. And then we both, like within 6 weeks, these two things happened. And then I ended up reaching out to him. So, and it was crazy because his secretary, not his secretary, that's right, the woman who he had dinner with, when she heard that he had this old girlfriend that he let get away, she was like, who is she? What do you know about her? I'm going to find her. And she actually tried to find me. She called my old company I had left about 6 months previous. And she even gave me the email that she had written him back saying, I tried to reach her, but she must not work there anymore. So clearly there was all this stuff going on unbeknownst to me. And then this whole thing came up at my reunion. So it's crazy how that works. So think about these, like what in your life was manifested that, like, another thing is like I talk about how your kids came to be. My oldest daughter, we were not planning on having a child. We had not even been married a year. And technically I was not in the ovulating period. And so it was like safe. It was a safe time. And probably if I had tried to get pregnant any other time at this time, I would have never gotten pregnant. But I got pregnant and I wanted a little girl so bad. And I manifested her. I truly believe that I manifest her. And, it's like the best thing that ever happened to me was becoming a mom. So think back, reflect. So that's prompt 1. All right. So prompt 2 is, Did these things manifest in the way you expected? So when you recognize, hey, this was a manifestation, but did they manifest how you expected, or were they a surprise, or did they come out like better than what you had imagined they would, what it would happen? Um, when I think about my husband and the reconnection with him, it turned out so much better than I had ever imagined. I think I at some point thought we'd reconnect, but maybe we'd argue. We used to argue a lot and fight, right fighters, as Dr. Phil used to call them. And it was, that's one of the reasons, we broke up. And he was just very independent. And I think he thought I was trying to tame him, maybe. And he was very like a wild horse, wild stallion. And so I was like, no, I don't want that in a relationship. I want to have a more stable, like, relationship where there's not a lot of fighting. So I think I wanted to be with him ultimately because he's just fun, and he makes me, he brings out the authentic me. I really truly believe that I am more myself with him than anybody. He sees me. He like looks at my eyes and sees me. And so what I thought if I really thought, hey, I'm going to manifest this, I think it would be like, well, this might be a little rocky. But never an argument, never any hiccups, never any. From the minute we had lunch, the first time we saw each other after 27 years, from that day forward, it was done. And we got along amazingly. And there's never been, it's just been a dream. It's been so much better than I ever had expected. So were these previous manifestations how you predicted them to be? And how do you think you were helped? How do you think that there was a greater source, a higher source, God, the universe, whatever you believe in? Was there somebody else that had a hand in it? So that is prompt 2. Okay, prompt 3 is, what lessons can you take from how these manifestations unfolded in your life that you can apply to your future vision? So how can you take the lessons from those previous manifestations and take those lessons forward and allow them to contribute to the future desire you're creating? How can they contribute and make these visions that you're creating for the future more believable, more real? I mean, this is where the whole belief process comes in, and why reflection is so important for creating your future vision. Because when you realize you did this before, it's so much easier to believe that things are possible. Things that you desire can happen. I mean, if what happened to me with my husband is possible, seriously, anything's possible. Seriously. I mean, crazy. It's crazy. All right. So number 4 is, now we've done this reflection. We've documented previous manifestations. We've documented the lessons learned from these previous manifestations. And now we're ready to create our future vision. So what is it that you wish for? What is it you wish for? And I like to think of this as just like a brainstorm list of whatever comes to mind. It doesn't matter how crazy, how ludicrous, get ludicrous, get like so crazy that you don't want to put any limitations around your desires. So, I mean, within reason, because if you want to be an NBA all-star, it's probably not going to happen. But I don't know that any 60-year-old woman would want to be an NBA all-star, but it's quite possible there's one out there. But within reason, because physically, there's things that we can't do. But if you think you physically can't do some things that probably would be possible, well, maybe that's a reason to manifest a fitter you in 2022. So we can change things. So we are able to do things that we might not think we are. So I can't grow to 6'5" or 7 feet tall, nor would I want to, because my husband is like 5'4" and I would be way taller than him. So what do you wish for? And think about if you've had any kind of download. Have you gotten any intuitive hit from the reflections that you've done? Like when you were thinking about those previous manifestations, did it lead you to something that was like, oh gosh, that would be amazing if I could add to this manifestation in a new way, one that you had before? So what do you want to create? What do you want to do? What do you want to experience in the time you have left? That's what this exercise is all about. Just make it open-ended. It's not a 12-month exercise. It's a exercise for documenting what we desire to do in the time we have left. And it's just that 2022 is when we're putting the request out into the universe, and we're committing to believing that it is possible. So, and then the other thing that I would recommend when you're writing down and brainstorming what you wish for, remove all limiting beliefs from this experience. And what I mean by limiting beliefs is oftentimes when we say, oh, let me use an example. I want to earn $1 million. Okay. Let's just use that. That's kind of like a crazy wish, right? So of course, a limiting belief around that might be, well, I'm too old for that. I don't have, there's not enough time to earn $1 million because I'm too old. That's a limiting belief, because I can give you examples of people like Grandma Moses, who didn't even start painting until she was 76, that there are people who late in life earned $1 million. So if that's what you want and desire, write it down. For just like, be bold. Another belief is, well, I don't know how. I don't know how to do that. So that's not possible. Write it down. The universe will give you ideas along the way that will give you clarity for the how. Someone will be introduced to you that will have exactly what you need. An email will come in your inbox that will be exactly the thing you needed. So forget the how for now, write it down. If it comes up as a wish, it's yours, write it down. So you're basically working from the anything is possible mindset, not the anything is possible if. We want to get rid of all those ifs or buts. Anything is possible. There's no, there's no limitations. There's no caveats. So it's hard to do, but once you get into that mindset of just have fun with it, then it won't feel so difficult. I think we make it difficult because we think it has to be, there's all these rules around it, and there is no rules. That's the nice part. So in prompt 5, is simply that. Have fun with it. Have fun with it. Make it yours. Make it unique and belong to you. And you can do it any way you want. So that's the other thing, is some people make a big deal out of it. Was like, oh my gosh, I need to get magazines. I need to get poster board. I need to get glue. I need to get blah, blah, blah. Well, you can do that if you want. Some people are artsy and they like to do that. I prefer a digital version, and that's what I'm going to teach in my workshop. Super simple and super quick. And you can find so many photos on the internet that are exactly what you like. You need to find photos that are like, speak to you, right? That when you see the photo, you like, it really resonates with you. And that's hard to find in magazines, because like, who has magazines these days? Not me. They're not even in doctor's offices anymore because of the pandemic. But yeah, I think magazines are kind of hard to find things in, and you spend hours going through and sifting through magazines. You can find them so easy on the internet. So yeah, so that's my digital version's my favorite. You can even handwrite on paper, doodle it, make a beautiful doodle. I have a student who did that, and she posted it in our Facebook group, and oh my God, it was so inspirational to everyone. It was so special. And everybody was like, oh, she made it so easy just by, she had a pencil and paper, and it was really great. So anyways, those are the 5 prompts that I encourage you to do to create your future vision. It's really basically a future vision. So I'll go over them once again. Reflect on past manifestations. And did those manifestations manifest? So this is number 2. Did those manifestations come about in the way that you expected them to? And if they didn't, how did they turn out? How were they different than what you expected? And was there help? Do you think there was help with that? So journal on that. And then the third prompt is, what were the lessons learned? What were the lessons learned from those manifestations that you can carry forward as you create your future vision? 4, what do you wish for? Brainstorm your wish list. I call it a wish list, but it's goals, but they're in the form of wishes, because people get all like, oh, goals, oh, so that kind of goals, and for some people, is a bad word. And they think there has to be so much structure around goals. But what we're doing here is, it's really just a list of wishes. And then we can turn the wishes into goals as you get more concrete on them, when you're actually taking steps and inspired action to complete those, the steps that you need for those goals. So you want to have some sense of structure at some point around the things that you're trying to manifest. And so it's like, how do you turn those wishes into goals? But we're just starting out with wishes. They're just a list of brainstormed wishes. And then, yeah, number 5 is have fun with it. So those are the 5 prompts, and I want you to get to work. And please DM me on social media and let me know once you have your wishes brainstormed. I would love to see them. I would love to see, was this a fun exercise for you? Did these question prompts help? Or these thought prompts, I guess you'd call them, journal prompts, if you will, help. But just make sure that you take the time, and that you allow yourself the time, because the time that you take to do this will keep you from wasting time. And it's because Oprah does it too. Like, take Oprah's advice, unlike me. So I finally am, but so I hope this helps. And I just want you to know it's been a game changer for me. And that's why I share it with you. All right. So as we close out this year, let's make 2022 amazing. Thank you so much for tuning into the Not Your Average Lives podcast. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe on iTunes if you have an Apple device. You can find free resources and learn what else I have going on at the moment that might interest you on my website at notyouraveragegrandma.com. You can also find me on Instagram or Facebook at notyouraveragegrandma. If you liked this episode, it would make my heart so happy if you could leave me a 5-star rating. You can also add a review to let me know what you like about this podcast, which will help spread the word about it to others who need a little midlife inspiration. As always, be you, listen to your inner voice, and focus on reigniting that lost spark so you can start living your own, not your average life.